As the dawn lit the circuit this morning, the sun was actually shining. That was until Coco the Clown was seen parading in the paddock. The fashion police threw a veil of fog over the circuit to protect the public. That said, the race meeting was in danger of being called off. Luckily, the fog lifted and normal service resumed eventually. Until then, let's take the opportunity to look at the championship standings. The incredible events of Snetterton 2 weeks ago saw Ricky Taylor extend his championship lead to 10 points over the ever-charging Alfie Brooker. The ever-quick and consistent Dominic Ryan continues to rack the points up at every round to keep him third and knocking on the door. Jamie Primmett, in his first year of racing, leads the T2 class and is fourth overall. The quickest car on the grid right now, Brad Lane, had a torrid Snetterton with electrical issues and has dropped to 5th place. Any one of these top 5 drivers can take the championship this year. Reliability is key and speed alone isn't enough. With 3 rounds left, it really is anyone's title. Behind the title race, Cam Tunio, Dan Fisher and Adrian Matthews aren't here today, so a great opportunity falls to both Dave Charlton and Chris Bicknell to make hay while the sun doesn't shine. I've been particularly impressed with Chris Bicknell's driving as the season goes on. He really does get the most out of that 8-valve Saxo, which is at least 100 brake horsepower down on everyone else around him. Mikey Day and Steve Everson are here today despite the terrible Snetterton. Mikey has re-engined his Saxo and is keen to get back into point scoring. Steve Everson can't improve his championship position regardless of how well he does here today. His Saxo isn't ready after the altercation with the barrier and the engine letting go at Snetterton last time out. So he's borrowed last year's T2 class Peugeot 206 belonging to Brad Lane. This is a win-win for both drivers, as Steve gets to drive a competitive car while Brad gets a driver capable of nicking points off his closest competitors, in this case Jamie Primmett. Smart move. It'll be interesting to see how this pans out. Danny Brooker should go well here today, although the powerful VXR won't be able to use all of the power it has. Another driver who has an opportunity to do well here today is John Wilde in his XR2. Dave Hutchins returns after missing the last 2 meetings, so he'll be keen to score big points here today. So, while the fog kept everyone in the paddock, I took the opportunity to speak to the top 5 drivers about their season so far and their expectations for the final 3 rounds. So, does that apply pressure to you? How does that make you feel going into today?
Massive pressure. Probably, do you know what, it's probably harder leading than it is chasing. Because it's any little mistake you can lose it, especially with the points being so tight. 1 DNF, 1 bad race, you're done really.
After the first race at Snetterton, when you had your kind of grass tracking moment and then came back on, technically you were behind in the championship to Alfie because of that one moment. And then in the second race, you won it quite convincingly, and you took a 10-point lead in the championship from it. That's how close it is. Does that affect your thinking going into each round?
Massively now, yeah. With Rockingham, I tried too hard where I didn't need to be. So I had the DNF there. Snetterton, again, I was pushing on hard. Danny got in front and played a very good tactical game, which made Alfie come past. So I was pushing hard and snapped a gear cable. So I was stuck in 4th gear. And part of that reason I had an off is because obviously I couldn't get the power down to correct my mistake. And because I was leading at the time and going back very quickly. So I was trying to keep Dom behind us just to take maximum points. Yeah, today I'm going out there, make sure I finish the races, collect a decent amount of points. Winning's not in the agenda today.
The reality is everybody else has got to score more points than you going in. So that gives you an advantage to a certain extent, but it applies the pressure, I guess.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So, bring it home from today. And then the next 2 rounds at Browns, I'm praying for the rain. As you know, I've got a sort of special driving style there, which seems to work. I won the first 3 overall of the year, and that's what sort of gave me the lead in the championship. And then after that, it's been disaster.
So you do a rain dance every day?
Definitely. I dance around the fire, put a bit of war paint on it. The missus puts a straw skirt on. It's great.
What you do your weekends is entirely up to you. Listen, good luck for today.
Thank you.
And thanks for making it so interesting.
Thank you.
And then the championship.
Yeah.
Did you expect to be here at the beginning of the year?
Not at all. No, not. We did it for more than fun than the championship. To come here, have a laugh, have a good race, and then get drunk after.
But you've had a great season so far.
Yeah, it's been blinding. I couldn't have thought it. The car's been amazing. Everybody's mucked in, everybody's helped, and it showed it works. It works. Everybody's going well.
So given there's no points, there's 10 points between you and Ricky.
Yeah.
and the guys behind are knocking on the door as well. How does that affect you going into each race meeting? Does it make you change your thinking?
Not really, to be honest. Again, I'm trying. If I find it's a laugh, if I win, don't get me wrong, it'd be amazing. If I win, I couldn't. It just made the season a lot better. But if I don't win, I'm not going to be mega bothered over it. It's racing, and that's a laugh. Come out here, have a good time, and then do it again.
So what's your plan for today?
Go out there and drive the hell out of the car, and hopefully see where we get. Try and do as best as I can.
And you're not gonna get the old Astra behind blocking for you?
Nah, not today. I reckon I've got him here. I've got him.
This track must suit your car, though.
Yes, it does. It's where the car handles well, and it's got a lot of acceleration. Obviously, it's not a top-end track. You do need the acceleration, and it holds its own out here. I've had good results here before. So yeah, it suits the car really well. Really well.
You leapt to third in the championship at the last race, and in fairness, you and Jamie have been so consistent all season, and both very, very quick together. I wanted to take the opportunity to see what you're thinking about the championship this year, with it being so close.
Okay, I've leapt to third. I've been lurking third for most of the season. While the car's been consistent, I've been relatively consistent, and I'm keeping it coming out. And if I can grab some points, I'll take them where I can. Yeah. That's kind of the way it goes. All being well, we'll continue for the last couple of rounds we've got left in the championship this year.
So your expectations for today then are that you're hoping to do well at this circuit?
I hope so. Yes. Yeah. I think I stand quite a good chance. Car's good. I'm pretty good. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Especially with the weather today. That's going to be the interesting factor later on. I think when the rain comes in.
We're into the run-in now. What's your expectations for the championship then?
For me, I think overall podium is pretty likely, barring disaster, of course. Third is okay. I think a second is achievable. First is unlikely, but I'll keep on plodding away because you never know. But it's going to rely on other guys to have DNFs and a few of them for me to win overall. The guys in front of me at the top of the leadership at the moment is also in my class, and so in terms of the class championship, I guess I'm probably going to have to settle for second, but you never know. I'll keep on trying.
So how was it for you this season?
It's been very different to my first year. Last year, drove Peugeot 206 just to learn racing basically. Finish every race, did that. So this year, obviously, move into a Honda. We wanted to be at the front, which we are now. A little bit of pressure now at the end of the year, especially with these points so close. And need to try and make sure I'm consistent as well as fast again. So, yeah, but I'm really enjoying it. I like the fact it's really close.
Yeah.
Something to work for.
Yeah, we were talking earlier that I know Dan Fisher was always at the top of the timing, but he's had a bit of a torrid season by his standards, just in reliability terms. And that got us thinking about the fact that pretty much the top five can't afford to have a bad day now until the end of the season. Yeah. Any of you.
Yeah.
Which makes it exciting. So what's your plan for the rest of the season in that respect?
Again, I think reliability. If Dan's at the last two meetings after this weekend, then I want to be able to follow him home basically, and because now he's a fair way behind us on the points, or at least one bad race behind. So I want to keep ahead of everyone else, keep behind him basically, let him pull me along.
Yeah. So for the rest of the day, subject to it actually going ahead, and it looks like the fog's starting to lift in the paddock anyway.
Yeah.
What's your plans?
Need to obviously first look at qualifying now. Want to make sure I can get good lapping, because passing is going to be a nightmare around here. If you're not at the front of the grid, you've got a lot of work out to get back where you want to be in the race. So yeah, make sure I can, even if just get myself some space on the track, get a lap in, and I'm expecting a lot of the T3 cars and other cars that aren't normally at the front to be there.
Yeah, is that because they're out of the track and it's because it's such a technical track?
Because it's so short, there's not a lot of time to be gained by having a more powerful car, so it's going to be a lot closer.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It was a bit frantic.
Yeah.
Broken windscreen.
Yeah, terrible. Wheel fell out of the tyre rack and went straight through the middle of the windscreen.
After all the panic of ringing round for half an hour,
Yeah.
you finally got someone.
Yeah, 3 of us on the phone, auto glaze have turned up and just thrown the screen in it. I think it's out of a Mercedes 500 SL or something. It's in there and duct tape around the edges.
Yeah.
So
That's better aerodynamics, I'm sure.
It's past scrutineering, so happy days. Yeah, we just got to literally throw the last bits on it and then we're out and about. So then we're off out for practice.
Okay, so now time to calm down and get ahead in the game.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I guess you've been lucky enough to not think about what you've got to do today for the last couple of hours because of the windscreen issue.
Yeah, exactly.
So what have you got to do today?
Ideally, there's one car I need to finish in front. You know, I don't need to get in any silly battles with anyone else, you know, that aren't in my class because they're not taking points from me.
So in terms of the run of the championship, the top 5 guys now are within about 35 points of each other.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know, you're right in the middle of that in terms of the battle.
Close now.
So reliability is going to be key. I spoke to a couple of the guys in the top 5 this morning. They're all saying the same thing about reliability.
Yeah, just...
You know, you and Dominic, who's the guy in front of you, Dominic Ryan, are the most reliable cars on the grid pretty much at the moment.
Yeah, I think.
And I don't want to put commentators' curse on that.
No, please don't. Not today.
But that's got to help you.
Yeah, it gives me a bit more confidence. You know, a lot of confidence in the car. The only thing is now, you know, I can't necessarily just sit back and take points now. I still need to push because I need to finish in front.
Look, I know you're busy. I'll let you get on. I'll speak to you during the day.
Speak to you soon.
Brad Lane was very impressive with a pole lap a second faster than the nearest challenger, Alfie Brooker. Alfie pushed very hard but couldn't make up the gap. Ricky Taylor's day fell apart along with a crankshaft on his Ford Fiesta as he trundled to a stop on track, bringing out a red flag while they cleared him back to the pits. Despite heroic efforts to try and get the crankshaft out of the Fiesta and a replacement put in, his day was under threat from the very beginning, ultimately succumbing to the damage. Danny Brooker in the Astra took a very good 4th position. Dave Charlton on the back of an excellent snetted and qualified well. Steve Everson got to grips with the 206 very quickly and qualified an impressive 6th. Dominic Ryan wasn't completely happy with the grip of his Puma, but he still managed 7th place. Kevin Palmer and Dave Hutchins seemed to be glued together as they chased each other around the track for the entirety of qualifying. Chris Bicknell had a good qualifying session. Mikey Day and Jamie Primmett struggled to get grip on a track they were unfamiliar with and could only manage 11th and 12th. Jamie saying afterwards there was a lot of work to do in the paddock before race 1. Brad Lane took pole position by over a second from Alfie Brooker and Ricky Taylor in 2nd and 3rd. Danny Brooker took a good 4th position from Dave Charlton in the battle of the T1s. Steve Everson a great 6th position in the Peugeot, new to the car but clearly got to grips with it very quickly. Dominic Ryan took 7th place, complaining of a lack of grip and felt like he was a few tenths short of what he should be doing. Kevin Palmer brought the Mini home 8th, just ahead of Dave Hutchins, very little in it, fractions, and Chris Bicknell a very, very solid 10th place. Mikey Day and Jamie Primmett out of position somewhat. They looked to be going quicker than that, although they were both having issues with traction for quite some time. John Wilde and Nick Lunn bring up 13th and 14th place. So with that, let's get into the race. 2 big pieces of news as we go into race 1. First of all, Ricky Taylor hasn't made the start. He did break a crankshaft in qualifying, so won't take the race. So, all bunched up, going to take the start. The other piece of big news as we go into the start is it's raining. It started raining just after qualifying, so a lot of head scratching and work going on to get the cars ready with some kind of setup for this race. Anyway, we're underway. Good start. That's an excellent start by Jamie Primmett as he goes down in 10th place, takes it away from Chris Bicknell. Although Chris looks like he's trying to get back on it. Jamie immediately up to the back of Dave Hutchins, Kevin Palmer and Dave Charlton. As they come down the hill for the first time, see the rain falling. Dave goes wide. Jamie tries to go down the inside of him. Thinks better of it and tucks in. Take the racing line at this point. Get the tyres up to temperature. Kevin Palmer has got in front of Dave Charlton, who is now under a lot of pressure from Dave Hutchins. Dave gets past, goes alongside, gets past. Jamie follows him through. Dave tries to fight for the position on the left-hander. Can't do it. Out wide, Jamie takes the racing line and drops into 9th place. Oh, sorry, goes ahead into 9th place, going up the hill. Immediately on the back of Dave Hutchins. Dave's car washes out a little bit. Jamie keeps a tighter line. The inside, he's having a look. Drops back in. Too close to the corner. So Dave Hutchins, Kevin Palmer in front of him and in front of Kevin. If I can see if that's right. Yeah, Dominic Ryan and Mikey Day. Mikey Day's made a great start too. Dave goes wide. Dave washes out slightly to the left. A few cars are doing that on that corner. Jamie keeps it tight. Dave looks to try and dive up the inside. That's compromised his exit, I would say. He's too tight. Kevin's gone slightly wide, but Jamie switches back. Powers down the hill. Takes Dave Hutchins, who tries to get back, but Jamie's got the line. And he's ahead. Nicely done. Up to P8. Excellent first lap. Now Jamie's straight on the attack. Not much power difference between the supercharged Mini. Oh, hold that thought for a second. Dave Hutchins coming back. Mini washes out going up the hill. Jamie's on it. That was Alfie Brooker. Alfie Brooker on the top of the hill. Off the track. Kevin Palmer just keeps his nose in front, coming down the hill onto the start line. Jamie's now got a much better traction out of the corner and runs him down the start and finish straight. He's got the line for the corner and takes the lead. That was well thought out. So going into lap 2, that's Jamie up to P6, and that's a slowing Brad Lane. Oh no, we'll find out what's happened. Let's hope that's not a reoccurrence of the electrical problems he had at Snetterton. So Jamie now pushing up the hill, trying to get under the back of Dominic Ryan, who in turn is trying to get under the back of Mikey Day. So along that stretch there, we've got Danny Brooker in the lead, followed by Steve Everson, who's had a great start to the race. Mikey Day third. Dominic Ryan currently fourth, Jamie in fifth. And they're pretty much that far apart. There's not much distance between them at all. Dominic washes out wide out of the corner, comes back in. Duly noted, I think. Jamie holds a much tighter line through there because he can get the traction down. The car really is handling well. Yeah, that's Brad Lane limping back to the pits. And reports are that it is the same electrical gremlins he had at Snetterton. That's blowing the championship wide open. So Jamie's on the back of Dominic. Jamie seems to get much more traction out of the corners than Dominic can get down. Dominic washes out wide again. Yeah, he's washed out wide. Jamie's seeing half a gap. He's closer this time, not close enough. As they turn and climb the hill. Mikey Day's certainly closed the gap on Steve Everson. Jamie alongside again, from one of his favourite places to get alongside. Not close enough at this point. And Dominic comes across and closes the door. Smart racing. We've seen Dominic do that a lot of times this year. Smart racing, that is. He's closer. Will Dominic push out? He's closer again. Can he go up the inside? Oh, he's thinking about it. Oh, Dominic closes the door. Jamie says thank you very much. And they go at it again. Goes to the left. He's going to try and get a slingshot up the inside, coming out of this hairpin. Dominic goes wide. Jamie's on the tracks. Jamie's on the power. He's got the traction. He's alongside. He's in front. He's got his nose in front. Dominic's fighting back at him. Has he got it? He's got it. Jamie's got the racing line. He's got it. Fantastic move. That puts Jamie up into 4th place. Now he's got to catch the two amigos in front. Steve Everson and Mikey Day. See how quickly he can get onto the back of them. Looking at the timing, look at the timing screen. Jamie's laps are quicker by about half a second to the two guys in front. Oh, Mikey's gone wide. He's got dirt. He keeps his foot in, as you'd expect. He keeps his place, but he's now compromised for the hairpin at the top of the hill. They're together. Jamie's down the inside again. Has he got enough space? I don't think he's close enough this time. No, Steve comes back across and closes the door. But he's got to run on him down the hill. No, he's going to tuck in. He's going to watch him and see what opportunities arise. Mikey Day washes out to the left again. Steve keeps a tighter line, running defensive. He knows Jamie's car's faster at this point in the race. Up the hill, Steve driving a defensive line, middle of the track. Jamie keeps over, thinks about going up the inside. Steve goes up the inside of Mikey Day, who's pushed out wide. They're side by side. Side by side. Mikey Day holds the line, but he's wide. Is he compromised? Steve trying to keep him pushed out wide. How on earth did Mikey Day... Oh. No. I thought he took an opportunity to get down the inside of Steve Everson there. How did Mikey Day hold traction that far out on that corner? He just keeps his foot in. Incredible to watch. Oh, take a breath. So, back at it again up the hill. Steve and Mikey holding a defensive line. Steve's trying it again. Alongside. Mikey keeping his foot in. 3 abreast going down the hill. I'm not sure this works. Mikey Day much wider now. Surely he can't. Look at that! I was going to say, surely he can't hold traction that far out, and he'd have to back off. None of it. It's fair to say this battle's fantastic to watch, but it's holding Jamie up. Jamie could be up the road if he could actually get past these guys. Having said that, that's a comment. That's a proper commentator's comment. These guys don't make it easy to pass. Fabulous to watch. Look, he's on the power so much earlier going up the hill. This time, Steve's in front. They are now 3 abreast going down the hill. Mikey Day dives down the inside this time on Steve Everson. Steve Everson's pushed wide. He can't hold it. He's on the kitty litter. He's grass tracking. He's back on. Jamie's passed. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. 3rd place. Come on, Jamie. Mikey pushes wide. Jamie holding the power on. He's right up on back marker. Nick Lund. Is Nick Lund going to get involved? No, Nick stays over to the right, lets them both through. Well played, Nick. Up the hill, he's closing on him. Mikey's right in the middle of the track. They shall not pass. Jamie down the inside again. Is he alongside? He's got to run at him. Side by side. We know Mikey can drive that. Get my words muddled up. We know Mikey can hold the line that far out. That was a real opportunity. Right, gather your thoughts, try again. Having said that, Steve Everson and Dominic Ryan just behind watching this. They won't need many opportunities before they're crawling all over the back of Jamie's car again. Jimmy's still got better traction through the corners. I saw Alfie Brooker sneak up there. Right, try again. Mikey Day's line's compromised going in. He's going to have to wash out left. Jamie goes down the inside again. Better this time, it's earlier. He's alongside. They're properly alongside each other. He's in P2 at this point. Will Mikey hold on? Squeezes. He isn't going to let up. He's back in front. I have to say there isn't that much traction out there, but Mikey does seem to find it. Incredible. That battle has let Steve Everson under the back of them again. Jamie's got to be careful here. Mikey holding a defensive line. He's going to push Jamie out. Jamie's going to switch back to do the same again. Yeah, he goes left. That gives a big wide open track to the right. Steve Everson's going to take it in. Dominic's trying to follow him behind. Jamie's pushing. He's on the throttle. He's alongside. Oh no! Steve Everson's done him. He's alongside again. They're neck and neck. Nobody wants to lose this race. So, take a breath. Where are we? Danny Brooker is a few seconds up the road. He's just now taking the left-hander ahead. He's up the road. He's in first place. Mikey Day in second. Steve Everson third. So let's just take a sanity check here. Mikey Day, Steve Everson, Jamie Primmett, Dominic Ryan and Alfie Brooker now on the back. As Steve this time closes the door, doesn't let him through. They're running out of laps. Less than 3 seconds covers places. Less than 3 seconds. It is the last lap. Less than 3 seconds between second to sixth. And it's the last lap. He's on him again. Okay, he's got 2 chances left now. He's got a chance at the top of the hairpin, at the top of the hill in the hairpin, and the run down the hill. He's got a chance to try and do what he's been doing most of the race to people. Tyres have lasted well. Steve holds a tight line. Jamie holding on, gets the power in. Now he goes to it down the inside of him. They're alongside of each other. Jamie's looking at him. He's ahead. Is he going to hold it? Steve's going to cut. Steve's back across, back to P4. It's a drag race. He's compromised down the hill, across the line. Go on, go on! Oh, 1/10 of a second. Dear me. That's the 4th time this year those guys have been separated by a 1/10 of a second. Incredible. You can well be pleased, gentlemen. Good race. Yeah. That's relief all round. So, take a breath, take a bow. So, Mr. Primer, take me through that.
I don't know if I can, it was a blur. Started P12,
Yeah?
got P4 to Mr. Steve Everson again by 0.1 of a second. Second in class behind Steve, so epic. Bring on more rain.
Yeah.
Love that.
What a rain dance.
Oh yeah.
I mean, considering what it was like after qualifying.
Oh yeah, we were nowhere. So we've changed all the geometry for that race. We just thought we'd just try something. It just brought the car on fire.
Yeah, I know. We were all talking between the two that literally there's nothing to lose. Try something a bit radical.
Yeah, we just said, you know what, we're just going to change the geometry. We changed the brake pads to something less sharp, and then that was the outcome. So happy days.
What a race. Make me a cup of tea. I need to lie down in a darkened room. Incredible. Danny Brooker. Almost forgot about Danny, given how enthralling 2nd to 6th was. Danny took a great win, 5 seconds ahead of Mikey Day. Mikey drove the doors off that Saxo. How he held on in the right onto the main straight. How he held on to that corner, that far out. And you could see Steve Everson got out there earlier on in the race, and he went grass tracking. So incredible driving. Incredible driving from Steve Everson as well. New car to him, soon got to grips with that, didn't he? And he did what we talked about earlier on. He took points from Jamie. Can't argue though. Brilliant race. Incredible. And it was nip and tuck right up to the line. 4th place for Jamie. Best result of the season so far. 12th to 4th. 12th to 2nd at one point, and then stepped back into 4th by the end of the race. It could have gone anywhere. It could have gone in any direction, that race. Dominic clawed back, scored good points ahead of Alfie Brooker. Alfie had the opportunity to make big points today, take big lumps out of the championship with Ricky having his engine issues. So 6th place is still a result. It's not the result Alfie would have wanted. He wanted to be further up the track. But look at that. 2nd to 6th, covered by less than 3 seconds after that race. Very, very impressive. 7th and 8th, Kevin Palmer, Dave Hutchins. They took good points today. Dave Charlton in 9th place. Dave seemed to struggle as the race went on a little bit. Don't know if he had issues or not, but he did struggle. And you can see that. Chris Bicknell, brilliant drive from Chris, 10th place. And he did it on merit. Only half a second between Dave Charlton and Chris Bicknell by the end of the race. John Wilde, I expected a little bit more from John, if I'm honest. He wasn't very far behind Chris at the end. I think the three of them were running, but I expected a little bit more from John. It's a big opportunity. Hopefully he'll get an opportunity in race 2. And Nick Lund, 1 lap down, but did well to keep out of the way of the hard-charging melee that went on as they went past. Brad Lane, what a disaster for Brad. That's blown the championship wide open now. And Ricky Taylor. Ricky didn't start after that terrible snapped a crankshaft for the 2nd time this season. 2 of the quickest guys on the grid. But I think, as we said earlier on, it's not just about speed this year, it's about reliability. And those 2 guys both said, you know, they've had their share of unreliability this year. Race 2 was a completely different proposition to race 1. By now the weather had turned completely. It was pouring with rain and the fog was starting to hover about again. Linked to that, with the new windscreen in Jamie's car, which had no water preparation on it at all, or condensation preparation, there was a big danger. As soon as it went over the start-finish line, you saw there that it just completely fogged up as soon as Jamie started to generate any heat inside the car. He reported later that he couldn't actually see anything was relying on the lights of the cars in front of him, by which point halfway through the first lap there was 8 of them had gone past, so he'd gone from 4th on the grid back to about 10th. No visibility whatsoever, and at that point it was purely hanging on. He wasn't the only one in trouble. Danny Brooker had an even worse race, being lapped twice by the end. From the point of view of spectator sport, 6 cameras on Jamie's car, and I could see out of one of them, which is slightly better than Jamie could see. Literally just hanging on. Even trying to wipe, he couldn't quite reach the windscreen. He had a rag, he was trying to wipe the window. Absolute nightmare. Visibility behind was no better, all he could see was lights coming at him. And then this happened. He knew the front markers were coming through. Steve Everson went through, and then all of a sudden, bang. Alfie Brooker had actually locked up under braking, come to the top of the hill, and T-boned Jamie right in the side. Danny Brooker was behind, took avoiding action, back on the track, seemed to be running okay. Jamie said afterwards it really did wind him. And then about a lap later, Alfie Brooker's car come to a standstill at the side of the road, and he reported later that he'd lost all drive. The Mini's a drive-by-wire car. He'd lost connection. He rebooted the car and got it going again. All in all, a terrible experience, the second race compared to the first. Jamie just horned to take points. Did manage to finish 9th in the end. Without further ado, let's look at the results for race 2. Roller coaster of a race 2. Steve Everson takes the win, a full 11 seconds up the road from Kevin Palmer. Great result for Kevin, and by definition, if Kevin's there, Dave Hutchins seems to be not far behind. Dominic Ryan gets 4th place. That's a strong result for Dominic. It's going to give him strong points in the championship, and that's going to be very important given what happened to Ricky and to Brad today. Chris Bicknell, 5th place. What a fantastic result. That's going to impact his championship. It's going to move up the main championship board, but take nothing away, that's a great result today. Alfie Brooker gets 6th place. What a torrid time. He was the last car on the lead lap. Had a very difficult race. Looked up going up the hill, T-boned Jamie. Ultimately a lap later he lost throttle control. Drive-by-wire, the Mini came to a stop at the side of the track, rebooted it and managed to get it running again, but 6th place was the result. John Wilde, better John Wilde. I thought he'd underperformed in race 1, but what a great result. 7th place for John. That's done his championship a world of good. Well played, sir. Mikey Day, this grid's almost upside down. Mikey Day only managed 8th place. In the end he had a problem early on and he lost power and he drifted backwards and couldn't make up places, so a lap down. Jamie, unbelievable day for Jamie. What a roller coaster of a ride. Difficulty he had in this one was new windscreen in the Honda, it had no rain preparation on it. As he crossed the start line at the beginning of the race, the windscreen just fogged up and he literally couldn't see. You could see him struggling in the car, so consequently he went back as quickly as he went forward in race 1. Danny Brooker, incredible. Won race 1, 10th in race 2 and 2 laps down. Clearly had problems and went backwards. And Dave Charlton, same, 11th, again 2 laps down, had problems for most of the race I believe. The rain got so heavy in race 2 that it was a clearly lottery, and neither Ricky or Brad made the start of race 2. That's had a massive impact on the championship. So 2 rounds left, everything to play for now. So let's see what Jamie has to say about his day.
The warm-up lap went really well. The car was absolutely amazing. As soon as the green flag went, the car just went misted up like something. I couldn't see a thing, couldn't see a beam. So I went into the first corner following the car in front. Its tail lights I could only just make out. I didn't even see the lights on the gantry go to so it was kind of damage limitation until the screen went off. I was just I could see nothing out the sides, the front, the back. I was literally driving blind to the point I thought I'm going to have to pull off in a minute. I threw the heater switch for the windscreen. It took about 6 laps just to start breaking it up, but still weren't enough to see. So I had a rag with me, I was throwing down the windscreen to try and clear a little hole, because the problem I had is that when you come down Hairy Hill, as you come down it's at the angle and then the track's flat, I couldn't see the apex, I couldn't see the corner, let alone the apex. So I was having to come down, kind of gauge where I am by the time that I've travelled, and then look for the corner and go, right, there it is, and I could turn in. And it was just, to be honest, I maybe should have pulled off a bit of a mobile chicane on me. I just
Yeah, but having said that,
But-
talking to everybody had windscreen or visibility issues, I think. So
Yeah, they did, but to what extent?
nobody else pulled up.
But
So.
to what extent, you know? And, you know, but at the end of the day, okay, stayed out there and we've got some good points again.
Yeah.
So I think it was the third in class. So, you know, it's good points. It's good I stayed out there. I don't feel I was a danger to people so much, but I think maybe, you know, the way it was with the poor visibility for everyone, it just, you know, you've got to be aware.
In worst case, if there is a dropped score round,
Yeah.
then you can drop that one, can't you?
Yeah, exactly that. I think I might have had a slightly lower one in the middle of the year, so there I've got an option I can drop. Good thing for me is Brad Lane scored no points.
Yeah.
So
And,
we've all
and Ricky as well.
yeah, Ricky, he had a bad weekend. So all in all, you know, real high,
Yeah.
and then you just drop down low. And you know, the only other thing to mention in that race is Alvin Waddell, the back marker, the hairpin. I left it really wide. I took it so wide so the car got inside of me, just to be met by Alfie Brooker with lock brakes in the wet, and he's proper done a job on the corner panel. Proper job to the point that it jolted my insides to the left. I mean, proper hard hit, but you know, testimony to the car really. You know, the way it was built, spun me round and done a bit of damage to Alfie's car as well. With the front end of his car. You know, yeah, it was a big impact. But, you know, no hard feelings for Alfie. It's dripping wet, and he was racing for the lead. So you know, he just got in hot. There I am, sat merrily on the outside of the corner. So yeah, after that car stalled because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't dip the clutch, facing down the hill the wrong way to see Alfie's dad coming at me. In what way is he going to hit me? But luckily, I don't know why, but he went around the outside, so I think he must have had the same issue with trying to get to the inside.
Yeah.
He thought he was going to go bury me in the front. So yeah, well played, Danny, for avoiding me.
We've got to talk a bit about the first race,
Oh yeah.
because I know, you know, I mean, trying to be neutral about it, from my point of view, not that I am, obviously I'm slightly biased, but just as somebody who likes watching motor racing, what an epic race. You've got to be pleased with that.
Oh yeah, I'm over the moon. People around the paddock have come up and said, you know, that's got to be race of the season between us 3, 4, if you include Dominic getting onto the back of us as well. You know, it was epic battle. So yeah, really good fun that. And just a shame I couldn't clear the two French cars in front a bit earlier, because you know, I think I would have had a good chance of getting on the back of Danny in that one.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, it was obvious that if you'd actually got past Mikey, you could have pulled a gap.
yeah, definitely.
You know?
I mean, I was come to get the drive out the corners so much, but just couldn't quite get 80% down there inside of them. One of the things.
Yeah.
Now I'm pleased, you know, second in class I think I got, and fourth overall.
So overall, good day,
Yeah,
good points total.
good day, good points.
Could have been a lot worse, and it was a lot worse for a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people had a really bad day.
So it'd be interesting to see what the points tally looks like.
Yeah, let's wait till Monday, Tuesday to find out, shall we?
What an incredible roller coaster of a day. For Snuthurst Racing, the action started before the car even left the trailer, when a tyre came out of the rack in transit and smashed the windscreen on the Civic. Jamie's asked me to thank A1 Auto Glaze for a great response and service to get the new screen in and save the day. Then there was fog, track time stopping fog. However, it was a great opportunity to speak to the top 5 drivers about the season. How ironic that turned out to be for the 3 quickest protagonists. Blown engine, recurring electrical gremlins, and a points-rubbing crash. In the last case, at least Alfie Brooker took points for the day. Not as many as was on offer, but at least enough to get him to the head of the leaderboard. We'll dig deeper into the fight for the championship in a minute, but I wanted to pick out a couple of star players from today. Chris Bicknell. Chris had a stonkingly good day. He drove very well, he beat cars much more powerful than his, and to go 5th place in race 2 was an amazing feat. And this is reflected in his 7th place overall in the championship and 3rd in the very competitive T3 class. Mikey Day defied physics in race 1 with some incredible driving, and it was amazing to watch. And Steve Everson, with a win and a 2nd place, what an incredible day he's had, and all in a car that he's not familiar with. It's a true testament to the skill of the guy. So to the top 5 drivers and the championship. 4 races left over 2 meetings, both at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. So who's going to win? Well, if today has taught us one thing, it's that we shouldn't predict anything. Instead, let's look at it and apply what we know. We know who the fastest drivers are. We also know the average points being scored by the top 5 over the season. If we apply the average points to the remaining 4 races, we can work out the potential points the drivers will score. We can apply a dropped score penalty, acknowledging that the last 4 races may change that. That means Jamie Primmett and Ricky Taylor will swap 3rd and 4th places. What that doesn't take into account is the opportunities to take maximum 29 points from the races. Ricky Taylor has done that 5 times this year. Brad Lane's done it once. Ricky's also had 3 DNFs. Brad's had 4. The top 3 drivers haven't had any. We can see from today's result how important that is. If the season runs to form and they score according to their average, then the final results will look like this. However, both Ricky and Brad have proved that they can take maximum points. But to win the championship, all of them are going to have to rely on the other 4 having bad days. Today also proves anything is possible. In reality, we don't know, but it is that close. I can't wait for the next 2 rounds to play out. I'd like to thank everyone for making this championship so exciting. So, see you at Brands Hatch on the 27th of October. Thanks for watching, and the obvious thing to say is please subscribe to the channel. It helps us all out. Thanks.